Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our webinar, Adopting in the New Year. This webinar is for hopeful adoptive parents. And my name is Kim. I'm here with Heather, and we are coming to you from Lifetime Adoption, which is a licensed child placing agency in the state of Florida, assisting families and birth mothers all across the country. In fact, Lifetime is going on 40 years of helping families grow. Heather, thank you so much for being here today for our webinar.
I'm happy to be here. And, we are just honored to walk with you as you explore the next step in growing your family through adoption.
hmm And, often people have a ton of questions and are just trying to figure out the process online, and they're met with a lot of conflicting information and overwhelm. And then, the end of the year comes around, the holidays come around, and they think to themselves, it would just be easier to just put a pause on, let's put a pin on, put a pin in this, and we'll circle back around to it
Right.
in the new year. And that's why we wanted to come to you today with this webinar and give you some tips. But first of all, if you are new to Lifetime, we are happy to help you learn more about private domestic infant adoption. You can fill out your free application as a great next step in learning more and determining what direction to take. Our application is always free. It's at lifetimeadoption.com/apply. And if you are watching this on your computer or on your phone, you can scan that QR code and it'll take you right to the application. It's a pretty brief form. It's maybe about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, brief as far as adoption paperwork goes.
hmm
And it just asks you some basic questions about yourself and a little about what you're looking for in an adoption, such as the age of child you're open to adopting, and maybe one or two other things. And it asks for your basic contact information. So nothing too in depth. It helps us open that conversation and get a better idea of where you're coming from when you are considering adoption with us here at Lifetime. Whenever you have questions or want to touch base and share where things are for you in your path to growing your family, you are welcome to call, text, or email us here at Lifetime Adoption. My email address is Kim, at lifetimeadoption.com. And you can always just pick up the phone and dial our number 727-493-0933 and speak with an available coordinator. And we are happy to answer the questions that you have on your minds. And we are excited to dive here into our webinar and share with you 5 tips for adopting in the new year. And Heather, thank you so much for a beautiful slideshow today.
Well, today our webinar is going to be short. We're going to be real focused and really try to hone in and give you some clarity and confidence as you are considering adoption, both now and in the new year. And what I think is so important to share is really um, some behind the scenes information about why sometimes waiting till the new year isn't the best step. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but sometimes now can be a great time to move forward because, we're going to give you some information and really share how you can finish this year strong, going into next year fully prepared. And really why this came up is we were having a team meeting. And one of our coordinators was sharing, she said, I don't think waiting families or families waiting to start the process understand that right now we are doing um, initial calls and intakes with mothers considering adoption who are due next summer. And it's like, if for families who haven't started, they don't understand that adoption kind of works in the future, but also you have to get started to be there. So, I think really just jumping in, Kim, and sharing every year we really see the same pattern. Families who are talking and thinking about adoption, and then, yes, just like you said, they get busy with the holidays and they think, "Ah, we'll just wait till January to start." But then the moment that calendar flips It doesn't matter what adoption agency or home study provider or attorney, it doesn't matter who, it is repeated, this surge in families ready to get started now in January.
That's right. And so, because there is a surge, when you in January are ready to take those next action steps, hire a home study provider, start getting your trainings done, and start filling out all the paperwork, that home study provider might have a month or two delay to be able to even start with you because so many families do have it as their New Year's resolution to
Mhm.
start their adoption process. Not only that, some families are even waiting to research adoption
Right.
until the new year. And that can take, a few weeks, 30 days, 60 days, depending on the pace the family is working at and sort of their personality. And I do want to mention, too, as we're heading into the holidays, that continuing to take some action steps, such as applying with Lifetime, lifetimeadoption.com/apply, having your scheduled phone or video call with a coordinator, reviewing your paperwork, getting additional questions answered, and working on your adoption funding. All of these things can help you make great progress as you are walking through these holidays, perhaps during a chapter in your life where the holidays are a little bit of a downer, maybe because you're
Mhm.
surrounded by families, you're surrounded by relatives that are just popping out babies, and you're like, when is it going to be our turn? And everyone's making their announcements, their pregnancy announcements, and they're having all this success in the area that you're longing for, becoming parents. So if you know that you're doing everything you can to make progress and follow God's calling on your heart to be a parent and to take that step through that open door of adoption, then I think that's really going to help you mentally and keep your spirits up because you're not just on pause watching everyone's life move forward, but you're actually taking action steps and making forward progress. You're keeping your momentum going.
That's right. And as we look to January, it's good to know that there are longer wait times in the first quarter of the year for families who are getting started. It is just a fact. And like Kim
Right.
mentioned, sometimes that emotional stress from being like feeling like you're behind can really take a toll, especially if, you're just getting started and now you're informed, well, there might be a little wait. It's just good to know. It's good information to have because um, families who are starting now, that will put you ahead. So when everyone's just starting in January, you will be a few weeks further into the process. And so that wait won't happen for you. You're already ahead.
Another thing, Heather, and I don't know exactly how other organizations work, but at Lifetime Adoption, we work on an opening basis.
Mhm.
Normally, we receive anywhere from 200 to 400 applications from prospective adoptive parents every month. So every week, our review committee is reviewing those applications from prospective families who are interested in possibly partnering with Lifetime. And so, of course, in January, we're going to see a surge and we're working on an opening basis. So, our openings are always limited and it's based on the amount of adoptions we're doing month to month. So, you want to keep that in mind and get a spot held for you so that you can start taking those action steps like reviewing the paperwork, getting questions answered. Once you start your program, we'll provide you with a referral for home study. So, don't worry about that just yet. We will work with you and help you plan out the timing of when to start your home study. I think, Heather, I want to bring that up because people assume that is their next step from right now, get a home study.
Mm.
But
Mhm.
actually, with Lifetime, that is not the next step. So we want to walk with you and ensure that you are doing things in the right order and with the right team.
Right. Absolutely. So, I think the next tip is really kind of what you were just talking about, Kim. It's about building that solid foundation. And it it families who are able to start, then when they are the calendar flips, they have more clarity about where they are in the process and what the next step is. And really there's a lot of things you can do during this time of year that helps prepare you moving forward. And for instance, getting getting photos. It's easier to get photos when there's people around to take them, and we need photos for
Hmm.
our presentation materials that birth mothers see, that birth mothers choose families from. So when you have friends and family around and you're doing more things, it's easier to think about, oh yeah, let's get a picture of this. And for families who are in the process, Lifetime provides information on, here's the type of photos we're looking for, these are some good ideas, and here are some not so great ideas. And I'll just tell you right now, and not so great ideas, you don't need a whole lot of pictures in front of the Christmas tree. It really is more about understanding what birth mothers are looking for, and being able to capture those because you have those opportunities. And really what we've seen, Kim, in all our years here at Lifetime, is that families who prepare early, they often see smoother adoption journeys.
Hmm. That is so, so true. And part of that preparation is education, spending time
Definitely.
listening to webinars such as this one with Lifetime and watching any videos that your agency gives you. I know here at Lifetime, when you apply and if you're invited to schedule a phone or video call after the application, then we provide you with a whole page of resources. So there's a quick video with our founder, and then maybe like a 45-minute video where you get to learn more in depth about the process here at Lifetime, what to expect and why things work a certain way. So we're going to be providing you with that information all laid out for you so you have all the pieces of the puzzle and you're not overwhelmed and you are going to be given that clarity that people right now are so hungry for. They just want it to be simple and straightforward and just let me know what my next step is.
Mhm. And that's our next tip is, it also, getting started early helps you reduce overwhelm because you have that guidance. And just like Kim was sharing, we provide simple, doable steps. Now, I say simple, we have checklists, we have everything in place. It takes effort, but you know what? Everything that's worth having takes some effort. So,
Mhm.
it's good to know that we don't expect you to know everything, but we give you that next step so that you do know, okay, this is where I am needing to work now, because adoption is definitely something you don't want to rush through the steps. You don't want to take shortcuts. You want to feel like you have the time and space to do it right. Our
Mhm.
founder, Marty Caldwell, says your family is the most important thing you will ever build. Yet many times people, spend more time planning home remodels or planning a vacation than planning their adoption. And that's why we are so big on education, walking you through, giving you the doable steps so that you have that breathing room. You have a partner in Lifetime who is helping and guiding you through the process, which we know it can feel overwhelming, but we really want to help guide you through it so that it is something that doesn't feel overwhelming, that you have a partner and a guide.
And on that note of breathing room, Heather, what does that look like? Well, breathing room with, let's say, something as simple as scheduling your phone or video call to talk about your adoption
Mhm.
application, having more openings right now because there are families that put a pin in it. And, your coordinator is a little more open. Uh, to different times that will work for you and your spouse to both be on the call together. And then when you begin your program, you're going to have your scheduled welcome call, and you're going to have a little more breathing room to schedule that more within what would work for your schedule, but also processing your emotions and the um, the facts about what to expect next in the process. So not having to feel rushed when you are understanding how adoption works, especially modern Christian adoption in the US, when you are adopting through private adoption, which is most likely adopting an infant, And private adoption means that a birth mom is choosing you for her baby, which is why we're talking to you about creating a profile for birth moms to see. That's how they start to get to know a family on that very surface level, to decide if they have interest in maybe scheduling a time to talk with you. So having the time to learn what the adoption process really is and not just go based on assumption or theory, what you think it should be like or what you have heard it could be like, but to actually get the reality from your coordinator, such as here at Lifetime, so she can really help you map out what your next steps are going to look like, what you're going to need to do, and the financial aspect as well, so that you can intellectually process that as well as emotionally process many factors as to, coming from infertility or having medical reasons why you're adopting and coming into the world of adoption, which is a whole new start. So, this is going to give you breathing room now, instead of rushing through those thoughts and feelings and concepts in January when you're trying to get into an agency as quickly as you can.
Hmm. Absolutely. I think it also helps to know and understand that, God's timing in adoption is very important. And at Lifetime, our foundation is Christian leadership, integrity, and care. And, you know, birth mothers are looking at families, waiting adoptive families every day. There is no January rush for birth mothers. In fact, if anything, we sometimes see a holiday rush because
Hmm.
other adoption agencies may not be available 24 hours for moms looking at adoption for their children. So it's good to know and understand that families are chosen year round. There is no calendar. And like I said earlier, we are now getting calls from moms due 9 months from now, which is next summer. And so many times when we hear from families, we're waiting till January to start, or we're waiting till the new year to start. You know, and we want to adopt next year. Well, you may be running behind if that's your goal, because again, every adoption is, with newborns adoptions, is going to involve a pregnancy, and the pregnancies are 9 months. And if moms are, looking at families when they're halfway through their pregnancies, half the year's pretty much gone by the time families are even beginning to be ready. So it's just, again, good to know and understand these things. And if you're feeling that that push or pull toward adoption, if you're feeling that voice, leading you here, explore it. If the Holy Spirit is speaking to you and saying, Christian adoption is how your family is going to be built, know that, we would love to help you explore that and see if lifetime adoption is the right fit for your family. We really pride ourselves on our Christ-centered services for birth parents, for families, and really, creating a true partnership for your success. Because what we've learned is families who are prepared, not perfect, but prepared. That is what helps position them so they are ready and able and and there to be chosen by a birth parent who, here's a side tip, birth parents aren't looking for perfect families. They're looking for families like you, families ready to step forward and provide the life for their child that they wish they could provide.
Hmm. And adoption stories begin with one intentional step. And the way you cross the finish line and bring your baby home into your arms through a safe and successful adoption is that you keep taking those baby steps, left foot, right foot, step after step. And it's not overwhelming if someone is partnered with you and guiding you through and saying, okay, the next thing we need you to do is watch this webinar. The next thing we
Mhm.
need you to do from there is open your laptop and start writing a few paragraphs about yourselves with these categories and these tips in mind. We also need you to schedule a photo shoot. We need you to schedule a physical. We need you to schedule a background check and a home visit with your
Mhm.
social worker. So these are just little step-by-step things, not things you have to do all in one day or all in one week. Adoption is a process, but you have to keep taking steps. And the very next step for most people who are listening to this webinar is probably to fill out the application that Lifetime provides for free at lifetimeadoption.com/apply. Does it sound weird that I keep saying our application is free? Well, the reason I keep saying that, and this shocks a lot of new hopeful families who are coming into the world of adoption for the very first time, most adoption professionals, you have to pay to find out if they can help you. They
Right.
have an application fee. Lifetime's founder, Marty Caldwell, she's a Christian adoptive mom who had several losses before the Lord really pressed on her heart that adoption was going to be the path that she would take to become a mom. And little did she know that her own personal adoption story and that seed of calling on her heart from God would then lead her to create a legacy of 4 decades of helping families all across the country unite with the babies that God had meant for them. And not only that, the services that Lifetime provides for birth moms, women who are discovering pregnancy and are not able to provide the life that she wants that child to have, and is turning to adoption as an answer to prayer and choosing hand selecting adoptive parents for her child. That all comes from Marty Caldwell. And one of the things is that she doesn't want families to spend any more time or money than necessary to accomplish the goal of adoption. She doesn't want us to accept a single dollar from anyone that we don't feel confident we can help. And that's why we work on an opening basis. We have a scheduled call before we officially let a family know that we can help. And that's why our application has always been free for these past 40 years. And you can find it at lifetimeadoption.com/apply. You can peruse our website. Families compliment us all the time on how clear the information is on the website and how much they appreciate the heart that they can see from what we share and how we approach our birth mother care and support. So I just wanted to encourage you to fill that out if you haven't done so already. If there's a question or something on the application that you're not sure how to fill out, just give us a call, 727-493-0933, or email me, kim@lifetimeadoption.com. So for example, someone was a little bit hesitant to fill it out because they're something to do with their home address, and that's a required field in the application. So when I finally got to talk with her on the phone, I gave her a solution. I noted it in her file. I let the team know, hey, when you see an application from this family, their address is going to look a little different because of XYZ, her story.
Mhm.
And so she was able to fill out the application and move on to schedule a call.
Mhm.
So just remember, you are not on your own. And that's a big reason that we like to do these webinars. We want to help you make progress instead of being paralyzed and out there on your own, not knowing what your next steps are and finding conflicting information. The internet is great about that. One thing about the internet, though, is that Lifetime Adoption has used the internet as a tool for so many years in educating not only adoptive parents, but birth parents. And if you want to get to know more about an agency, look at the side of their website that speaks to birth parents and see if that aligns with you. I think getting to know the heart of an organization is so important. If you have felt at peace in the things that we've shared with you today, that's a good indicator that you should keep taking steps with us here at Lifetime. Put us in your top 3 agencies, and it's good to know what's out there before you make a decision. And fill out the application, have your scheduled call, and then we'll work with you to map out your next steps. So we appreciate you being with us for this webinar. And you can find many more webinars like this on YouTube. And we have a whole playlist of adoption content education for adoptive parents, including many Q&A sessions and interviews. I also want to share there is an adoption podcast, letstalkadoption.com. And there are some really great podcasts shared on there from this year that you can listen to as well. So, Heather, thank you for being with us. Any last words before we close up for the webinar?
I would just like to encourage families that, don't wait to start your adoption story on January 1st. Start it today with the next small step.
Thank you, Heather. And thank you, all of you. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. We're always here to help you get one step closer to the baby that God has for you.